I'm glad to see you were able to find this video. I'd also be glad to hear from you. Let me know what you want to see and what areas you're having trouble with so that I can make content that's useful and meaningful to you. With that said, let's jump right in, shall we? So our previous video in the video series was the introduction video. So essentially what we did is we went in at a high level and we discussed what this video series is going to pertain and any kind of prerequisites that you should have under your belt before you move into this video series. Essentially, you just really want to be comfortable with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and I did create some slides and some flashcards to be able to practice, which I will link in the description here. We also talked about the acronym BEDMIS, which is a tool to help you remember the order of operations. And we also looked at a high level what the agenda, what the weeks will look like as we move through. So if you haven't seen that video, take a few minutes to go back and watch that and then come back here and we'll continue on with this video. So this video is the second video in the video series, again for the orders of operations, and specifically what we're looking at is addition and subtraction. So right off the bat, I want to point out that addition and subtraction are step 4. So if we go back to our acronym BEDMIS, which stands for brackets, exponents, division and multiplication, and addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction are done on the same step, and it's actually step 4. So when you're going through your equation and you're walking through and you're looking, are there any brackets, are there any exponents, is there any division or multiplication? Only after you have solved all of the other operations, then will you do addition and subtraction. And addition and subtraction are done on the same steps because essentially they're the same thing, just the opposite. And you do them in the order that they appear within the equation. So if an addition comes before the subtraction, you'll do that. If the subtraction comes before the addition, you'll do the subtraction first. It's not specific to AS. It can go SA. It's just BEDMIS is spelled AS, so it's easy to remember. Something to keep in mind is that you don't want to lose track of your signs. Right now we're starting off with addition and subtraction. It's going to be pretty straightforward, but do keep an eye on your signs, whether or not your number is positive or negative. Biggest problem when it comes to orders of operations is people tend to drop their signs. And the reason I wanted to go over addition and subtraction first, even though this is the last step in the orders of operation, is because addition and subtraction, if you've been using the flashcards, should be nothing new to you. You should feel very comfortable with them and it shouldn't be a shock to be doing these equations. This allows me to go in and actually show you a methodology to being able to solve equations. So that's really what the focus of this video is. Yes, we're talking about addition and subtraction, but I really want to make sure we instill the proper methodology for solving equations. So this comes to showing your work. So the way I like to do this, and I encourage you to do it the same way, is always ensure your equation is clean, always do one operation per step, and create a new line per step. Some people will argue and say this is tedious, it's extra work, and I can solve multiple things in the same step to save time, and you can. The reason I suggest you don't do this is because when you have to go back to review what you did, if you've done more than one thing in one step, it can be hard to try to troubleshoot where the issue is. So if we're always making sure our equation is clean, it's easy to read, we know exactly what's going on, along with solving one thing one thing per line, we'll be able to easily identify what was done as we move through the equation. Again, when we're doing simple equations like the ones we're going to be doing today and in the exercises, it's not so much of an issue, but what we're trying to do is build strong fundamentals so that when moving forward, we already have this already instilled in us, and when we start to do more complicated equations, it'll just come naturally to us. So here's an example, and we're going to see how I typically work through an equation so that you guys can do it the same way. So our equation is 5 plus 6 minus 3. So like I said, we're not doing anything fancy. We're not going to be looking for brackets, exponents, division, or multiplication. All of our examples will only have addition and subtraction. So we look at the equation and we see what's the first operation. The first operation in this example is 5 plus 6. So if we go 5 plus 6, we can say that it's 11. The next thing we want to do is drop the rest of the equation down. In this case, the rest of the equation is just minus 3. So now we have a new line of 11 minus 3. Okay, so now we look at our new line and we say, what's the next operation? Well, there's only one. We have 11 minus 3, so we can solve 11 minus 3 is equal to 8. I also like to highlight that the final answer is 8. The reason for this, and I do it for all of math, even outside of math, if I do physics or chemistry, I always like to highlight what the final answer is. But specifically with math, there's can be conversions, or sometimes you have to do like a graph or some kind of a chart, and so you'll have something over on the left side and something on the right and something above it and something below it, and they're all working together to try to solve the equation. But I always like to highlight somewhere, this is the final answer. Final answer was 8. In this case, we're doing it in a linear fashion, so we're going to do one line, do the next line, do the next line, so it's easy to identify. But again, we're trying to build strong fundamentals, so always highlight what your final answer is. Okay, so let's look at another one. So here's example B. We have minus 2 plus 3 plus 6. Now, I mentioned it before, and I'm going to highlight it again. We always want to keep track of our signs. So first off, we have a negative 2. So our first operation in this equation is negative 2 plus 3. So we can go ahead and solve negative 2 plus 3 and then drop the rest of the equation down. This gives us 1 plus 6. Okay, so now we can look at our equation again and see what's the next step. Well, it's 1 plus 6. So 1 plus 6 is equal to 7. And again, we want to highlight what the final answer is. So our final answer is 7. Okay, so here's a little more of a complicated equation. And I just want to highlight here that no matter how long your equation is, it doesn't really make it any more difficult because we're only solving one operation at a time. So if we keep that in mind, no equation should really be intimidating, at least not by the length. As long as you know the proper order to solve the equation and you're solving one operation per time, per step, you shouldn't have any problems. Okay, so let's look at our equation. We don't have any brackets, no exponents. There's no division or multiplication, it's just addition and subtraction. And addition and subtraction are done in the order in which they appear. So we'll start right from the beginning. 9 plus 6 gives us a total of 15, and we can drop the rest of the equation. So here we can see we brought down minus 8, minus 5, plus 10, minus 13. This gives us a new equation, and we can look at this one and say, what's the next step? Well, the next step is 15 minus 8, because we're going to solve them in the order which they appear. So 15 minus 8 gives us 7. Then we can drop the rest of the equation down. So that gives us a new line of 7 minus 5 plus 10 minus 13. Again, we're going to solve the next operation, which is the first one. So 7 minus 5 gives us 2 plus 10 minus 13, because we're dropping the rest of the equation. Okay, so now we have 2 plus 10. 2 plus 10 is equal to 12. And again, we drop the rest of the equation. Now we only have one operation left, so it's really straightforward. 12 minus 13 is negative 1, and that gives us a final answer of negative 1. Here's a really good example of showing how, as you do one operation per step, you can easily identify what you did in each step. So if you need to go back to double check why you didn't get the correct answer, like if your final answer didn't match mine, you are able to go back and see where exactly your mistake was. If you ended up adding and subtracting at the same time, it gets a little more tricky to be able to backtrack. So again, we really want to do one operation per step, per line. Example D. So here we have another one that's a little bit longer. This time we're going to have a negative number right off the bat. But we're going to do the same thing we did in the last examples, and we're just going to solve the first operation first. So let's go ahead. Minus 13 plus 2 gives us minus 11, and we can drop the rest of the equation. Now we look at the next one, and since again there's no brackets, exponents, division, or multiplication, we can go ahead and just solve the next operation. Again, subtraction and addition are done in the order which they appear, so let's look. The next operation is 11 minus 6. 11 minus 6 is negative 17. And we can drop the rest of the equation down. So now we can look at the next line and say, what's the next operation? Negative 17 minus 4, that gives us a total of negative 21. And again, we drop the rest of the equation. Minus 21 plus 23, that gives us positive 2. And we can drop the plus sign because it's the default, right? So if you don't see the number, the sign in front of the number, you can assume it's positive. You have to explicitly say when something is negative, but you don't need to have it for plus, so that keeps your line a little cleaner. Okay, so 2 plus 4, that gives us 6, and our final answer is 6. Okay, so that we went through 4 different examples of addition and subtraction equations. Again, you should feel pretty comfortable with the addition and subtraction. The length of the equation shouldn't intimidate you because, again, we're solving one operation per step. So as long as you can add 2 numbers together or subtract them, you should feel fine. If you had any problems with these, you should go through the flashcards, which I will have attached in the description box below, so you can feel a little more comfortable with it. Really what we were focusing on here was the methodology of doing one operation per line, as well as highlighting what our final answer is. To go back to orders of operations, specifically talk about addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction is the final step of the order of operations, so it's step 4. You only do it after you've cleared all the brackets, exponents, division, and multiplication. In the examples we've done today, because it was only addition and subtraction, rearranging the order is not going to make a difference. You can try it on your calculator if you want. They're going to give you the same answers. The reason I'm really focusing on it is because when you actually have an equation and you have brackets and you have divisions and you have exponents, it makes a world of a difference. So remember, addition and subtraction are the final step after everything else has been solved, and you do the addition and subtraction in the order that they appear. Also, keep track of your signs. Again, in these examples, it doesn't really matter if you do the addition or subtraction first, but oftentimes when I'm studying with people, I find the biggest issue people have is that they drop their signs. So do please pay attention to your signs. Make a conscious effort. This is a negative number. This is a positive number as you continue through your examples. So here I have some questions that I hope you go through, and I really do suggest you go through. Don't just do them in your head. Physically write them out. Do the whole one line per one operation. Make sure you highlight what your final answer is. It may seem tedious to do because these example questions are pretty straightforward. The point of this is not to make sure that you can add 2 plus 3. The point of this is that you understand the methodology to move forward for more complicated equations. And I do suggest you do it by hand. Actually write it out. I mean, I wrote it here on the PowerPoint slides, but writing it out by hand makes a world of a difference, and the more practice you get, the better you will become at math. And that goes for anything. Like, if you practice, you will get better. So I do hope you go through them. We will go through the results just like we did the examples today on Thursday. So it gives you all of Wednesday to go through and actually solve all these equations. They shouldn't take you too long. These ones are pretty straightforward. But I really want you to take the time to practice and get into the habit of doing them. So our next video is the follow-up to this one. It's going to be on Thursday, and we're going to walk through each and every example. And the reason I want to walk through each and every example is, A, so you get more exposure to the workflow process. I can't stop nagging on that. I really want you to get that methodology under your belt. But the Thursday video we're going to go through, and I wanted you to be able to see how each one is solved. So if for some reason you did get the wrong answer, we can walk through it and you can see through the methodology, that workflow of one operation per step, you'll be able to see where your mistake was and actually learn from it. Somebody giving you an answer and telling you that your answer doesn't match the correct answer doesn't really help you a whole lot. Yes, you know you got the wrong answer, but not understanding where your mistake is or why you made that mistake, you'll continue to make that mistake as you go on. So I really want to take the time to go through and walk through each example so we can figure out where we're having trouble or if we're all okay. So that's the Thursday video. You know I love to hear from you, so if you have any questions or any future topics that you'd like to see, let me know. You can reach out to any one of my channels or leave a comment in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you at the next video.